Hello, everybody.
Yeah, let's start everyone.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Maisa, and I'm a researcher and citizen science coordinator in ProCall Lebanon. And along with my colleagues Rahaf and Amani, we will be presenting on CS-led interventions in Lebanon, which we've been working on on this research project actually since 2018. So here are the members of the ProCall Lebanon team that are in the room with us today. If anyone has any questions about ProCall Lebanon and the work that we do, they can find us and speak to us later. So the aim of our work is to collaborate with citizens and support the capacities, expertise, and knowledge they have to co-design research projects and lead to solutions to problems in the community. So in the case of all the sites that we've worked in, our team included a group of recruited citizen scientists who participated in extensive research on prosperity and quality of life in different neighborhoods in Lebanon. So this was a very long and challenging process, which required careful coordination, supervision, and a robust sampling strategy and data management. So the images you see on the screen here are some supervision during data collection, which we did even during the COVID pandemic by being very careful and vigilant and having guidelines of how to conduct these kinds of household surveys. Up here is one page of the survey, the household survey that we developed, we co-designed with the group of citizen scientists who will then conduct the survey. And we trained very hard to conduct them with the community as professionally as possible. And then, of course, we took this data, we analyzed it, and in the case of Hamra, we collaborated with the UN Habitat in Lebanon to produce the Hamra neighborhood profile. So we worked together with the CS to deliver training, to help them analyze and visualize the data. We wrote up reports, and you can download these reports for free from our website online. And some of the copies are at the gallery behind you as well. So then the final stage of our work is for citizens to use all the knowledge and expertise they already had to design and actually, so to use the expertise they had and the knowledge that they gained during data collection to design original interventions funded by ProCall. So there are two types of interventions actually that you see on this slide. There are co-designed urban interventions, and the example here is the MENA urban intervention on the Corniche of MENA, which was done in collaboration with Catalytic Action, who are here today, I think. Yes, here he is. So co-design consults citizen scientists who did the data on how the design should be. But there are also citizen-led social interventions. For example, this community intervention in Hamra, where citizens actually citizens who conducted the surveys and collected the data developed proposals for projects and work in collaboration, work very closely with the ProCall team to implement them. So these projects are led by the citizen scientists completely. So different citizen science teams over the years have designed multiple interventions on different themes. So the education of vulnerable children, social engagement of elderly who felt isolated after COVID and the port blast, urban agriculture in a very dense city, and also support for local workshops. So I'll hand over to Amani now, who is our Hamra citizen scientist and founder of the Jouan Community Center, to give an example of how the intervention process works.
So our project called Jouan Community Center is an online platform to support vulnerable children with the aim to graduate the grade 9 exam in Lebanon. So the idea started during the data collection phase when we noticed that there is, in the neighborhood of Hamra, when we noticed that there is a social division and lack of communication between people in Hamra. So while there are lots of children out of school in Hamra, around 58%, one of affluent youth asked, why do we need a public school in Hamra? So this question inspired us to start Jouan as a virtual educational community platform that hires volunteer students of private universities to teach underprivileged children. The program teaches 3 main subjects of the Lebanese curriculum: math, English, and Arabic. Our main goal is to support the children to succeed in the official grade 9 exam, helping them continue their education either in regular school or to learn vocational skills. So it's a virtual platform, and due to the economic crisis in Lebanon and the lack of service provision, we had to provide children and teachers with the needed equipment, such as portable router, Wi-Fi, etc. We selected 6 volunteers and we trained them how to teach children on teaching method and how to deal with children with the help of Save the Children NGO in Lebanon. For the children, we reached them through the database we had during the data collection phase from the research, and we trained them on using the technology and tools. Through moving the program online due to the pandemic, to COVID-19, we were able to keep teaching students even when their families moved out of Hamra due to the high rents after the crisis in Lebanon. So the program was launched in January 2022. We provide 6 sessions per week, but also we are trying as much as possible to involve children in local activities, visit to public libraries, for example. So the program or the project has a great impact on both levels, education and social levels. So first, it involves Lebanese and non-Lebanese children, which is unlike the Lebanese public school system in Lebanon, separate them into 2 shifts. Parents are highly engaged in our projects, and some of them join the classes with their children. Our students marked a great progress in their education, and all of them passed their final exam. So, yeah. So now, currently, we are planning to collaborate universities, students at the LAU, Lebanese American Universities in Hamra, who are required to volunteer as part of the community service program to ensure the sustainability of the intervention. Also, we are at the same time planning to apply for new funds to extend our intervention and to teach more children. So now I will hand over to Rahaf, Ras Beirut citizen scientist and livelihoods and politics researcher at Procol Lebanon.
Okay, so we'll talk a bit about the impacts of the interventions that have been done in Lebanon and the challenges that we faced during the whole methodology. So the interventions basically had a huge impact on the lives of those involved and positively affected their lives. In terms of users, one of the most important impacts was capacity building, in which hard and soft skills such as computer and language skills, teamwork, and interpersonal skills were acquired. Another major impact is the increased space for public sociality, either in physical spaces or in virtual spaces. Just like my colleague just talked about the situation between the Syrian and the Lebanese children in Lebanon, the project was able to create that space for them to interact and connect together. Moreover, these interventions provided services that were somewhat missing in the areas that the projects were implemented in, such as tutoring, green public spaces, and so much more. Mental health support was also a very notable impact, especially because of the multifaceted crises that Lebanon was going through and is still going through. Mayel, for example, one of our social interventions that we haven't been able to expand on, helped a group of elderly get out of their isolation and reconnect with their community, as well as participate in different events to change their moods. The intervention evaluations that we conducted with the users reflected these impacts. One user, for example, of the urban agriculture project relays how all people that were involved were of different ages and positions and were equally excited to work and set up the garden. Another user of the elderly community project explains how the events helped her express herself and get in terms with her sadness. Finally, a parent of a Juwan student explains how the family wouldn't have been able to tutor their children had the project not presented the opportunity. Needless to say, there are positive impacts on the CSs and the team as well. Professional development, for example, is attained through the research and project implementation processes, where participants gain skills such as proposal writing, data analysis, as well as build social networks. As CSs come from different backgrounds, the discussion and research processes are an enriching learning experience that help expand our prosperity vision and action plans, which is something that we capitalize on. Yet, the methodology has its challenges. And the questions that emerged were, how do we ensure the sustainability of these interventions that we are implementing? And how do we guarantee their financial independence? Moreover, working with CSs with different backgrounds and different values and visions has meant that we had to invest time and effort in order to resolve possible conflicts and to keep the interventions going. Also, CSs sometimes might have biases and preconceptions about the neighborhoods in which they are implementing the projects in. So this meant that we had to keep on giving trainings and guidance in order to also move forward with what we're doing. Finally, the team had to take into consideration the mental health of the CSs, especially when working on social issues or areas that are personal to them. And this has been the case in our intervention in Mar Mikhail, for example, which is a neighborhood in Beirut that has been severely affected by the port blast that happened 3 years ago. These are all things that we have encountered and consider to be a huge part of the CS methodology. And we are currently discussing and experimenting on how we can work through them.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah. One last word. So we only have time for one example, which was the Juwan Community Center. But this methodology has created multiple interventions, as you've seen, with similar impact and social value. Let us know if you're curious about any other interventions, and we can explain them to you more in depth. So we see this experimental model as having important policy implications about the value of investing in communities. And our current work looks into pathways to policy change based on the lessons learned from these interventions. So we've also managed to publish our work together in a number of outlets, including academic journals, and we invite people to read them. And as I've said, some of them are in the gallery behind you. So thank you so much, and we look forward to any questions you might have and for further conversation as well. Thank you, Henrietta. Thank you. The clicker is here.
No, I don't need the clicker. Okay, so now we come to the moment in the morning when we are going to honour the citizen scientists from Kenya, from Lebanon, and from the UK. And to do that, I'm going to introduce to you our next speaker, Dr. Paul Ayris, who is Pro-Vice Provost of UCL Library Services and Chief Executive of UCL Press. Paul will introduce the UCL Citizen Science Certificate in the context of UCL's open science work, and he's also going to, with Saffron, present the certificates to our citizen scientists. Paul leads UCL's Office for Open Science and Scholarship, which is all about making knowledge and research accessible. He's also leading the UCL's work on citizen science, and hence is a very important part of the current and future development of the Academy. And what we at the IGP have been working very closely with Paul and his team to devise this new Citizen Science Certificate awarded by his office. And this is a huge achievement. And so one of the things we have to do is thank Paul, but also let's hear from him now. So Paul, please.
Well, thank you very much for those kind words. You give me more credit than I'm due. A lot of it is down to my colleagues in the office as well. But it is an enormous pleasure for me to be here today to be asked to present the first round of certificates for the Citizen Science Academy. As you've heard, I'm ultimately responsible for open science in UCL. And in Europe, we define open science under a series of headings, and in fact, there are 8 headings. Citizen science is one of those 8 headings, and that's why I'm so committed to supporting and helping to coordinate citizen science activity across the institution. But let me just for a moment compare what we've heard about citizen science today and the impact and the importance that citizen science has with another area of open science that I'm responsible for to illustrate what a revolutionary change open science can bring to the academy and to society. So the area that I want to compare it with is actually scholarly publishing, the production of books, textbooks, research monographs, and journal articles. Now in UCL, I started UCL Press, which is the UK's first fully open access university press. And we publish journals, and we publish textbooks, and we publish research monographs as well. And the best established of those 3 work streams are research monographs. Now, they're in arts, humanities and social sciences by and large, because that's the area, those are the academic subjects which see the research monograph as a standard unit of output. If those books were sold in the traditional way, over a bookshop counter, and you paid to buy a copy, or a library paid to buy a copy, you might expect to sell 200 copies worldwide. If you reached 200 copies, you'd think that was a brilliant outcome. And there are many academics in UCL and, of course, in other universities who do think that. Wow, I've sold 200 copies. Well, I think that's a crap result, quite honestly, which is why I started UCL Press. Now, in UCL Press, we started in 2015, and we published just under 300 monographs. And they have been downloaded over 7 million times in every country and every territory. And that's the revolutionary change that open science brings, because it makes society look in a completely different way at research, at outputs, at collaboration, at sharing, at openness, at transparency, and doing things differently and better. So that's the challenge for citizen science, to achieve the same kinds of results, which is why I was so keen to support the creation of the certificate for the Citizen Science Academy. Now, the role of the Office for Open Science in the certificate is an administrative one. The courses are designed by academic experts in the field, and they are the course leaders. What the Open Science Office does is to monitor progress, to approve the course if it's a new course, and to do the nice things like today, where I'm asked to present the certificates. In all the courses, we're looking to deliver on core domain competencies, and the 4 areas which we've highlighted, which all our certificate winners will have fulfilled in order to qualify for the certificates, are in these 4 domains: knowledge of research and citizen science approaches, understanding the research process, communication and collaboration skills, and we've heard a lot about communication skills today and seen them in action, and acting as a competent researcher. Those are the 4 key competencies that we look for in awarding the certificate, although other competencies can be included in the course if they're relevant to the work that's being done. Citizen science has the power, as my slide on the screen tries to explain, it has the power to change the way that universities and society interact. You will still find in some European countries academics who say, when I talk about citizen science, oh, well, research should be done by researchers, not by the citizen. I have heard that in my travels in Europe. Of course, I don't believe a word of it, and I tell them so. So I'm not very popular in certain countries, I think, as a result. But we believe exactly the opposite, that it is an opportunity to change that relationship with all the good that comes from greater collaboration, greater transparency, and a greater sharing of ideas, which is why I'm so pleased to be here today to present the certificates to our successful winners. And I think I now hand over to Saffron to take us to the next stage. All right.
Fantastic. So we're going to start with some citizen scientists coming to collect their certificates. Okay, so we're going to start first of all with the team from London, from Procol UK. Please come along this way. So first of all, Siobhan Bradshaw, who's worked on the Good Life Houston project. Soraya Mia from the Good Life Houston project. Salwa Al Abdali, also from the Good Life Houston team. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sarah Porter from Good Life Houston. Twinkle Jayakumar, who's worked on the Prosperity in East London. Terence Reagan also worked on the Prosperity in East Alexis Charles, who's worked on the Prosperity in East London longitudinal study and also on a project around inclusive spaces. Meanwhile, Lorraine Urusu, who we've heard from this morning already, worked on Prosperity in East London. Abdul Alim from the Prosperity in East London. And Victorine, who's from the Prosperity in East London team. Fantastic, well done. So next I want to welcome colleagues from Procol Lebanon. As you heard, the citizen science team in Lebanon is extremely large, but not everybody could be here today. So our colleagues are here to collect their certificates, but also to kind of represent the wider citizen science team. So first of all, Amani, my dad. Thank you. And Rahab Sahia. And Regina, who's from the Prosperity in East London team. But we didn't have her in the right place in the queue. then I'd like to award certificates to our Protocol Kenya colleagues, again, who are representing a much larger team of citizen scientists in Kenya. So they're collecting their own certificates, but also on behalf of the wider team as well. So Timothy Caputo, first of all. And Solomon Olenati. And finally, the Tanzania team, who again can't be here today, but are a really large team of citizen scientists that we've been working with over a number of years, some of whom you can see here. So they will be receiving certificates next time we go to Dar es Salaam to work with them. But I want to congratulate them. So thank you very much. Over to Henrietta, who will close for us.
So, thank you, Paul and Saffron. What a wonderful morning. Yes, yes. Well done, well done. Absolutely fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So let me again just congratulate all our citizen social scientists on receiving their certificates. This is a hugely important part of the Citizen Science Academy, this type of certification. And it allows all the citizen scientists to take on new challenges, to be empowered either to continue the research with us and with others, but also opens new opportunities and new pathways. And indeed, many citizen scientists who work with the IGP have gone on to new jobs, new challenges, new things to contribute. You heard that today when we were on panels earlier. Now, one of the things I want to say in closing is that it's important to understand that we developed the Citizen Science Certificate in response to demands from the citizen scientists themselves, and also demands from our policy and voluntary sector partners, because they wanted to have a way of recognizing the skills and competencies of the citizen science teams. So we were responding to that. Although I have to say that with the help of Paul and his team, this has been a long process to get a university to certify, but we have done it, okay? And congratulations to everybody who's been involved in that long process of work. It's clear to me that the UCL Citizen Science Academy will be playing a very important role in how we as a university not only conduct research with citizens and communities, but even think about the research. It's changing our landscape of understanding in the work that we do. And also in the way that we interact with many, many others who are part of this complex knowledge infrastructure that we have been creating. So I think one of the things I would say that in the IGP's broader mission to rebuild and redefine prosperity fit for the 21st century, this citizen science activism, their skills, their commitment, their passion is a key part of that. Without that, we will not be able to do it. And I think that one of the things that that means is that we should all understand as academics, those of us in the room who are academics, that the very nature of our disciplines are shifting as we take this process forward, because the question of what counts as an object of knowledge has already moved dramatically, right? So what I would like to say to all of you is keep up with us. You can email us at procol.uk, you can get on board at seriouslydifferent.org, and if you're not seriously different, you will be by the time you finish reading that, right? So we've come to the end of the launch. I want to thank again all our chairs and panelists for their time, for your wonderful comments, our citizen social scientists for their contributions, and the time they've taken to come, many of them from overseas, for the Academy launch. I'd like to thank all you in the audience for attending, and hope that you've been inspired and moved and thrilled, as I am, by this work and by being able to see what it really does and what it is and what it means for everyone. I would just like to say that we have a wonderful exhibition regarding the citizen science work, which is in the space next door. You can also have lunch with us, and you can look at the films we've been making. You can look at our massive open online courses, these MOOC things. If everyone ever says MOOC to you, you might be able to say afterwards if you know what it is. We have lots of resources for you to enjoy, so please come and chat to everybody and be together. And thank you all very much indeed for a wonderful morning.